Thank you for joining me here back on the show to talk about the last game I wanted to talk about here because I thought it was worth mentioning because this one was an epic game that I think not a lot of people were aware of just because of the fact that you're talking about two injured, riddled teams, right? Both teams, the Rams and the 49ers, came into this game with Puka Nacua missing, Cooper Kupp not playing, a couple starters, their center and one of their guards for the Rams not playing. And San Francisco also had Christian McCaffrey out, Deebo Samuel out, and George Kittle ruled out of this game leading up to it with a hamstring injury as well. But even still, going back to my game picks before, I did pick the 49ers to win just because, I felt like Brock was going to have an opportunity here to prove a lot of people wrong, or I feel like Brandon Ayuk would more so get involved in this game more so than he has in the past, but I was wrong. I overestimated, I guess, the 49ers, or actually I underestimated the Rams because still they have great players, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, and these guys making plays. Their defense stepped up when they needed to, and that's where, some of the plays went. But before that, going over some of these games, I can't talk about this game without mentioning the career game that Juwan Jennings had for the 49ers. Also, even still through the loss, it is worth mentioning, right? Because he finished with 11 receptions, 175 yards, and he scored all three of the touchdowns for the 49ers in this game. Likewise, Brock Purdy also had a very good game, 22 of 30 for 292 yards with three touchdowns as well. Showed pretty good mobility, I thought, as well, 41 rushing yards on top of that. And on the other side, Matthew Stafford, like I mentioned, 221 yards through the air with one touchdown, and Kyron Williams also taking over 24 carries, 89 yards, and two touchdowns as well for him. Big performances from all the big name players, although limited, they all played a very big part in this game, but it came down to the easier, or again, some more missed opportunities, I should say, for the 49ers that really just doomed them here towards the end. But to recap it a little bit more, San Francisco led 21-7 just after halftime for LA to start kind of chipping away at it from that point on. Stafford hit some big plays to Tutu Atwell, to Marcus Robinson, Jordan Whittington also, he stepped up. I'm sure maybe not a lot of people know who that is, but he made some big plays in this game as well. Then you had a 10-point deficit to start the fourth quarter between these two teams. Then the Rams hit another field goal. Hit another field goal to make it 24-17 at that point. And from that point, that's where really all the madness starts to happen, right? Those missed opportunities, like I mentioned, because you got the Rams. They got a big stop on third down for Moody to come into the game with 2 minutes and 47 seconds left after it was 24-17. For a field goal attempt, it was 55 yards. And, just on that attempt, it had the length, but Jake Moody sort of pushed it wide left. And now not only do you miss the opportunity to go up another 3 points, now the Rams have the ball in very good starting position for that drive. And right after that, the Rams go down the field and tie the game up right after that. And still, the momentum hasn't completely shifted, right? It feels like it has with the Rams answering right away, but the 49ers put together a solid drive. And with over a minute left, Brock Purdy finds wide receiver Ronnie Bell in field goal range if he was able to make the catch, but it hits him like right here, and he drops the ball. And obviously goes to the third down from that point, or they're in worse field goal position and they have to punt the ball. And then from that point on, the Rams go down the field, or actually not, that's my mistake. They have a punt return, like I mentioned, the 49ers punted the ball, and they have a great return off of that, and just makes it a lot easier for them to go down there and kick the game-winning field goal for them to complete the comeback, a 14-point deficit at one point, and win with a last-ditch field goal and take the lead, steal it from the 49ers. 27-24 is ultimately how this game ended up playing, and it just felt like Los Angeles won all of the big moments, right? Their defense was getting cooked by Juwan Jennings. It seemed like every throw that went his way, it was a perfect dart right where it needed to be, or he was mossing guys down the field with some ridiculous catches. He was wide open for a couple of his touchdowns. All of that seemed to be going his way. But still, credit to the Rams defense. Credit to Tre'Davious White for a lot of those plays. He was on the unlucky end of maybe just a better throw or things like that. Credit to him, to this young Rams defense, for sticking to it. And San Francisco's defense on the other side, being the more veteran, experienced team where they were just in the Super Bowl, obviously, last year, I felt like they gave a lot of big plays away. They let the Rams get in behind them a lot. Too often, it seems like. And Charvarius Ward played in this game. They had Talanoa Hufanga back, albeit coming back from a long way away from playing football. But still, you look at this situation where the lead receiver for the Rams, I'm pretty sure it was Tutu Atwell, had almost 100 yards. Everybody else had 3 receptions or less, which means, and also the quarterback throws for 221 yards. All of that put together, you'll have 4 receptions for almost 100 yards. Your quarterback still throws for over 220. It means that a lot of these plays were big plays. It's not like somebody had 11 receptions like Juwan Jennings, or 8 receptions. Another guy had 5 or 6. Everybody had maximum 4, and everybody else had 3 or less. So the Rams hit a lot of big plays. Their running game was working, obviously, to allow the defense to get sucked in and for these big plays to happen, which I feel like, yeah, you can give up a couple, but it felt like too often the 49ers were chasing guys behind them, which I wasn't expecting in this game, right? Because their offense was hurt. It's not like they were missing Fred and like Charvarius, because again, he played in this game. So that one was a bit surprising that he didn't really get too much pressure on Matthew Stafford either, which was another surprising takeaway from this. But I mentioned before, something that was interesting was that Brock had an opportunity now to kind of show everyone that he's not just riding the coattails of all of these talented wide receivers and weapons. And I thought he played very well to display his talent rather than having the ball being thrown to George Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and all these guys. I thought he did a lot, or very well in this game, to kind of prove that once these guys do come back and Brock plays like this, they're going to be unstoppable like everyone expects them to be. But still, it was just unfortunate moments like the missed field goal, Ronnie Bell dropping a ball that hit him right in the face. All of these things, if they get one of those, they probably end up at least going to overtime or maybe just winning this game outright. So it is unfortunate, but to me, it was a bigger win, it felt like, for the Rams, because if they lose this game, they go to 0-3, and they're not making the playoffs most likely if they go to 0-3 in that division, in that conference. And the trade rumors, start to swirl around a little bit more around Matthew Stafford, if you guys have seen those. So really, if you go to 0-3 and you don't know when Puka's coming back, or really you have an idea when Cooper Kupp's coming back, but you're not really sure, at that point it's very demoralizing. So for them to get the win and get it the way that they did through defense and other guys stepping up, it felt more significant for the Rams than it did a devastating loss for the 49ers, because like I said before, even though it's a tough loss, right, you expect to win this game because of just missed opportunities. You're not 100%. You know that you have at least 50% of your target shares coming back with Kittle, Debo, and Christian McCaffrey. That's at least 50% of your offense, if not more. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah, you would have loved to have gotten this win, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, you're 1-2 now after losing to the Vikings. So obviously that's not ideal with the Seahawks winning again. That's another great story. You have the same record as the Rams, which again is more significant for them because now they're not 0-3. Now they're 1-2. The 49ers are 1-2, and the Cardinals are 1-2 as well. So that division's getting tight. I don't think anybody picked the Seattle Seahawks to be leading that division and be the only undefeated team, but it seems to be the theme of this entire season, right? Unpredictable teams, unpredictable quarterbacks, storylines are making or getting the early headlines in this season, and I think this one had a lot of unlikely heroes to kind of go along with that theme. And with that being said, that'll be it talking about that game. That's the last game we'll recap, and we have one more preview to talk about, the 8:15 kickoff of one of the Monday Night Football games that we have on tonight between the Bengals and the Washington Commanders. So we're going to preview that like I did in the first segment. We'll be right back with that to close out the show.